So let's get to your
Yeah.
first question. What's the first thing you want to know?
So I've noticed, Josh, because I follow you every day, I check out my Twitter because I want to know what Josh is thinking and saying. You tend to stay away from trending topics. I never see you do things like hashtag 4th of July or like something that's in the news, and you are always on brand. And as a creator, sometimes I get nervous that if I'm not jumping on the trending bandwagon, that am I missing out? How do you deal with other people creating trending topics, and how do you stay away from it? How do you even resist the temptation?
So yeah, I think this is a really good question. And it's funny because I know it's something that you've pointed out to me before that I don't think I had ever really even thought about all that much. But basically, it's not that you can't talk about trending topics, and there are upsides to doing it, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I think I'm very specific and recommend for most people they be specific to their niche, the topics that are relevant to their audience, and trying to provide value to those people. So, for example, for me, I'm trying to teach people how to grow their audience and business. So that's what I'm going to talk
Mm.
about. I'm not going to talk about just because some political thing is trending and I can reach a lot of people. I'm not going to talk, it's not relevant to my audience. And so I think that there's those topics that you see, maybe based on what everyone is talking about, but my audience isn't everyone. So even if I were to talk about them, and even if they were to get me more reach and get me in front of more people, the people they're getting me in front of and the people I'm reaching are not the people I want to be my audience anyway. In most cases, a small percentage of them might be, but in general, you're reaching sort of the masses. And for anyone, your audience isn't really the masses, right? It's a segment of the masses. The other thing is, even though you might get a lot of quote unquote attention, you might get in front of a lot of people, you might get a lot of impressions, you might get likes, you might get comments, you might get whatever, because most of those people aren't necessarily, they're random people, they're not aligned with what your topic is, they're unlikely to follow you, even if they like the thing, because they're going to go to your profile, right? So if I did something about politics and someone saw it and they go to my profile and they go, well, this guy's talking about marketing and newsletters and social media all the time, I'm not going to follow him. I was interested in what he said about some political thing or some sports thing or some whatever, right? So I think a lot of that reach and the idea of the trending topics is sort of fool's gold, because even though you might get it, it's not ultimately going to translate to anything. The other thing to keep in mind is when you post about trending topics and you get that additional reach, the reach that you're getting is people who have no context for who you are and what you do. So especially in your case, they don't know, based on that one tweet that happened to show up in a trending thing or that one post or whatever, they don't know that you're a comic. They don't know your background. They don't know that you might be being sarcastic. And I think that also invites a lot of the negative feedback, the trolls, the whatever, because you're no longer talking to the audience as the context for what you do. They just,
Right.
So it's very easy to be misunderstood. And I think it can cause a lot of just sort of headaches and other stuff. All that said, that doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities to leverage trending topics for your own stuff. And there are probably times I probably should honestly do it a little more than I do, especially when it's relevant. So for example, if Substack was trending for whatever reason, Substack is a newsletter company. It's very much in my space. It would be not foolish, but it would be a missed opportunity for me to not post something about Substack, because that actually is the people talking about and reading about Substack are my audience, right? So I should hop on those topics that are relevant to what you're doing. The other thing is you can at times hop on sort of general topics, especially you as a comedian or people that are, sort of broader consumer based niche. You can hop on topics and use them to get across your own perspective, right? So like, let's say it was a 4th of July trending topic or something like that. the generic 4th of July post or joke is kind of whatever. But the 4th of July post or joke that represents your perspective as an Indian mom or as a New Yorker or as whatever perspective, that is interesting because it will connect with those people. So, like, let's say you did a 4th of July post that was some sort of joke or something related to an Indian mom's perspective of 4th of July. The people that's going to resonate are going to go, oh, this is funny. What's that? And they're going to go and they're going to see that it aligns with all your stuff. And that actually is going to convert to followers. So it's about 4th of July, which is broad and generic, but the content you've created around that topic has brought it back and narrowed it to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think in your experience, because I know, like, obviously you've had a lot of success on TikTok and a lot of that is, do you have examples of ways that you've done that? I assume that you do, that have worked well, where you've tackled, like, how do you currently think about approaching those sort of trending topics?
So I don't do any of the TikTok trends at all, for many reasons that you mentioned. Because also the things that you mentioned speak to the authenticity of the creator. And if it's not authentically who I am, I have no interest in putting that out there.
Yeah.
So I understood what you were saying. And I think that there is a context issue. For example, if there is, Indian New Year and Diwali in America becomes a fun trending topic for me to comment on.
Yeah.
So, or to do something, in parallel with. So I've resisted it myself, but I do have FOMO sometimes. I do think, oh, I should have jumped on it.
Yeah.
But it's just not me. And that's the other thing. I believe strongly that the audience is so smart. They know when something is not you.
Yeah.
It's not going to really work anyway.
Yeah, and they know when you're just doing it. And it's funny that's such a great point. And you see those accounts where you're like, I know they're only talking about this because it's trending.
Exactly.
Right. They don't actually care about this. You can tell it's just a ploy to try to get eyeballs. And, it's funny, like, I used to oversee social media for the Academy of Motion Pictures. And one of the first rules I had when I was there, like, for my team, is I was like, no birthday posts. Like, I get it. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's birthday. So what? Like, we're not doing the Gwyneth Paltrow birthday post just so you can get, like, that trending whatever, because to me, it wasn't reflective of the brand. I was like, we're not People Magazine. Like, this is a deeper, higher level of creative art and depth that our brand should represent. It shouldn't be, hey, happy birthday, person whose name is trending. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels hollow. So that's how I think about it.
Cool.